Hey Jake, how's it going? Trying something a little different tonight. Trying to do a little bit of work. I wanted to get some work done on my model on the Nova class project, and I thought, well, you know what? I'll try doing the whole live thing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Live stuff seems to be my life these days. What are you working on tonight, Jake? Hey Jake, how's it going? Oh, I need to turn the audio off on my laptop so I don't get feedback or something like that. All right, I am working on getting nacelles prepped. So I was finally able to get some good castings on the upper section. I think they're good enough. I think the castings are good enough. So try to get those prepped for transparent blue, transparent red. What I think I'm going to do, just trying to work through how I'm doing this. There's only going to be one light source inside, pretty sure. And so I'm going to put the coloring on the outside. So I'm going to mostly mask the red from the blue, spray the blue, then I'll spray the red, and then I'll mask those off once it's all dry in order to do the rest of the work. Who else is here? Oh, that's Jake again. But we do have some more people. Okay. V22 Offspray and Enterprise A Shuttle Bay. Oh, that's kind of cool. Enterprise A Shuttle Bay. Those shuttle bays really seem to be projects in and of themselves, aren't they? Now, I was thinking it could be fun. What am I doing here? I'm getting the bottom sections masked off and ready to do light blocking on the inside. But yeah. Figure this is kind of more of a hangout, I think, than anything for me, so. See who can come, who gets into the chat. Yeah, projects in and of themselves. How long does it normally take you to do one of the shuttle bays? Because I've never done one of those. I've got the refit, the 350 refit, the 350 toss, and the 350 NX01 sitting on my shelf, but those are ones that I'm holding off on for a while. Everybody does the refit. Everybody does the toss on YouTube, so I'm kind of holding off on doing those as far as content creation things. Is the sound okay? Everything okay with the sound on the live stream? Takes you about a week. And is that working pretty much 8 hours a day on it? So I'd imagine there's a lot of fiddly work involved in that. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm taping off the adhesion point on here so that I get the resin to resin bond instead of the paint to paint bond. I'm assuming that because YouTube has like a 30-second delay, right? So on live feeds, so I'm assuming that the yes is talking about the audio levels. 4 people watching, that's pretty sweet. 4 people watching me put tape on my model. If you're here, say hi in the chat so that I know. Part of this is just so I get a chance to kind of hang out with people while I'm working on this tonight. Figure I want to get a couple hours of work in tonight, so. Anybody there? Oh, those pieces are too long. Hi, Alex. How are you doing tonight? Nice to see you. It's the Toss Shuttle Bay. No, that's the Toss Shuttle Bay simply because you have a lot of trim work to do on both the ship shuttle bay and the interior of the hull, yeah. I hear that, I hear the fit on those isn't very good and that you have to like do a lot of work in order to get the shuttle bays to fit in those things. There was a, I was looking at a resin kit of a puddle jumper from Stargate, and I can't remember which website it was on, but they were specifically saying that they get requests all the time for interiors. Good man, thanks for doing a live session. Yeah, I just kind of thought about doing it tonight. Just thought I'd get some work done and hang out with whoever happens to show up. So, but the website was specifically saying that they get a lot of requests for interiors of the puddle jumper, but they say that the filming set doesn't fit inside the CG exterior of the puddle jumper. So trying to get a realistic interior that doesn't quite fit inside is an issue. I think the same thing is really true with the Toss shuttle, where the inside really doesn't fit into the exterior. But that new kit of the Toss shuttle that round 2 is coming out with looks really interesting. I built the original Toss shuttle kit when I was a kid, and I didn't know any better about the accuracy of that when I did that. Jake, it fits great if you don't put lighting in them. Only if you put lighting in them do you have to shave off a lot of material on the inside of the secondary hull to almost a paper thin, yeah. Alex Stemco, I'm watching your mask video. Really great stuff. Yeah, I'm keeping up on that too. So hopefully we'll see something new from you, Jake, in the next little bit. Yeah. Just checking something here. Yeah. All right. Whew. There's the part. I did something really scary yesterday. I vacuumed in here. It's always a little scary when you haven't finished a project and you're vacuuming, but it's kind of a garage turned into a studio, work studio. So really need to keep up on vacuuming and stuff like that to keep dust and dirt out of the project areas. It's my model building studio storage. All my model kits are up on the top shelf there. You can't see it. And then I've got over on this side, I've got my YouTube studio, my film editing area, all that kind of stuff. So it's a decent little bit of space, and then the camera is just sitting where, if we absolutely had to, we would pull a vehicle in area. But it's more a storage area at the moment, so more storage of baby stuff we're not using, like a crib and a crib mattress, because our daughter is now in a big girl bed. Jake, I'm hoping to have a new video within the next couple of days. Yeah. I don't know if you find this or not. I can't remember if we've talked about it, but it takes twice as long to do anything when you're also filming updates and stuff with it. So it's kind of nice just to be able to sit down, do some work. My work times are pretty much later at night when my daughter has gone to bed. So otherwise, up until that point, she wants full attention. She wants daddy's full attention. She wants mummy's full attention. So it's not really feasible to get into the whole model building thing while she's up and about. Oh, thank you, Alex. Content, it's a combination of two kind of hobbies. I love doing content creation and I love doing the model building. So the two together is kind of ideal for me. Although right now with the whole COVID-19 thing going on and groups not being able to meet together, for my daytime job, it's doing a lot of extra, like a lot of content creation and online video production and all the kinds of stuff. So my hobby is getting into my work life now. So I went through a little bit there in the first couple months of COVID where I was just dead tired when it came to anything creative after I was done work, and it really took me 2 months to kind of get into a good routine with all of that extra production work and to really want to sit down and be creative in my spare time. Because I find if I'm being forced to be creative, then it kind of drains me. It's the leisurely creativity, the personal creativity time where I want to do it, that's kind of really energy filling for me. So yeah, it can be difficult. Jake, you need a little bit more space to work with. You need to find a bigger space for doing your model building and video production. Three people watching. I wonder if that's including myself. I'm not sure. Oh, we'll see who's here. See who wants to hang out. I'm not going to get any painting done tonight. So my last update video took it was the progress over 2 weeks, and so at the beginning of the progress update video, so Monday, not this past Monday, but the Monday before, so it'll be 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow is when I started filming it, and it was cold and snowing. Early May, cold and snowing. And then the last day of filming for the update, which would have been, I released it yesterday, so it probably would have been yesterday I did the last little bit of filming. And it got up to, I think yesterday it got up to 28 degrees. So we went from snow to 28 degrees Celsius. For those of you in the States, you'll have to do the conversion to Fahrenheit. I don't know Fahrenheit, so I don't know what that would equal for you guys, but it got pretty hot for Canadian standards. Jake, I agree. Anytime I get out of the hospital, it takes me 2 weeks to get back into the swing of things. Yeah. Talking about getting into the swing of things, how is Window World progressing on that E? Are you near the end of Window World? I still can't believe I'm fixing to convert a 10 by 16 shed into my shop. Oh, that would be really nice, especially if you get like full lighting and power and stuff. 10 by 16, that's a good size. 10 by 16 is probably, you know what? I'm not sure. 10 by 16. Would this be 10 feet wide? 7 to 6 and 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 by 16 I think is what I've got in. Where is this? It was 4, 8, 12, 6. I think this is just a little bit longer. So it's 10 wide, and I think it's just a little bit longer than 16. But I think my actual workspace is 10 by 16. So nice space, but I mean, I use further than that for the camera, doing my intros and outros and stuff like that. But yeah, that would be such a good move for you if you're able to do that. And I suppose you wouldn't have to winterize it, right? Do you get much as far as winter in Texas? Alex, almost done with the lower saucer, taking more time to be careful. Yeah, what project is that, Alex? What project are you working on? We have a storage shed in our backyard. You can see it in the in my last update video, because I did a little bit of painting outside in the backyard because it was just so nice. But I've sometimes wondered, you know, if that could be a paint booth area. 1400 Enterprise E, nice. Yeah, you said you're almost done with the lower saucer. So is that doing the windows on it? Almost done clearing the windows? I was curious and I counted the windows, and yeah, I forget how many windows I counted on the ship, but there are an incredible number of windows. And if it's windows you're working on opening, what percentage of the windows are you opening on it? And yeah, and how are you kind of approaching that as far as lighting and filling and stuff like that? Because I think almost everybody has a different approach, which, you know, everybody has their favorite way of doing it, but it's really interesting to see what everybody does. Sometimes I watch through YouTube videos, I'm like, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to run into this problem and this problem. And other times I'm like, wow, that is such a smart idea. I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, it gets very cold, Jake. Yes, it gets very cold here. Haven't had any snow in 5 years, but it gets awful hot, though. Yeah. So air conditioning would be a thing for you then, that you'd have to worry about there. I've thought, so there's no way I can turn our shed into a paint booth or anything like that. Plus, in the wintertime, I wouldn't be able to get out to it because I'd be going through like that much snow any given time just to get out to the shed. So I don't go out there in the winter, like I don't go out to the shed unless I absolutely have to. But I was thinking about installing solar panels, 1 or 2 solar panels on our shed roof, just so I could get always have light out there, and maybe could charge like our weed whacker battery and that kind of thing. then on to the secondary hull. Yeah. I've got my E sitting right here. Not that you're going to be able to see it very well from there, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I took my time working on these windows, and I'm really happy with how they turn out. It's going to be interesting to make sure that they stay as clean and crisp as they are once I get through all the painting and stuff. Alex, I'm going with opening about 60% generally, but all of them near key areas like the bridge. Yeah, that sounds to be about the number that most people do. You might think that this is crazy, but I opened every single window. And before you say I'm crazy, here's my reasoning. I don't like necessarily the way the windows look when you paint black on them. And the other windows have clear filler. And because most of the time, really most of the time, your lights are going to be turned off on the model. They're not night lights, so generally, you're only going to turn it on when you want to show it off or something like that, right? So I think it would look to me, and it's all personal preference, right? So to me, it looks a little strange to have black painted windows when the lights are off in the other windows. So what I'm doing is I've opened them all up, and then I am blocking the windows that I want off from behind so that they are off, but they will all have the glassed in look of the clear material. So when the ship is off, when the lights are off, they will all look uniform. So you won't have some that are dark because there's no light on and then blacked paint. They'll all be dark because the lights are on, but then only the ones that are open on the inside will show through. And yeah, I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, but because it's all been painted white over top. But basically, I put black electrical tape over all of the windows I wanted off, and so they'll all be filled, but they'll be off or on, and all look uniform when the lighting is off. Jake, I open about 45% of the windows, and I use warm white LED light strip for the interior lighting. Going off box art. Yeah. Well, only a certain percentage of the crew are actually going to be in their quarters, right? And not every lab is going to be used, and they turn lights off when they're not in. Although on this set, everybody's crew quarter lights were already on when they walked in, so maybe they just keep all the lights on all the time. But we never really saw much of lights being turned on, unless it was like plot related, where they walk in and then they say lights and the lights don't come off and somebody's waiting for them. Generally, I think it was the only time we saw it was when it was a plot device. Alex, I'm moving in several weeks, so I haven't focused on any assembly. I opened the windows on the Enterprise C smooth a month ago. It's nice to get the pre-assembly stuff out of the way. Yeah. And Jake, Alex, what lighting kit are you using? Yeah, what lighting kit are you using, or are you doing your own? I've got 2 C's sitting up on my shelf, and I think I might have started opening windows when I got bored or was waiting for something, but I can't really remember. I got 2 Enterprise C kits by accident. I tried to order one through my local hobby shop, which unfortunately no longer exists, and they told me they didn't think they could get it. So then I found a good deal on an open box one on eBay, and it came and it was all good. The kit itself was in perfect shape, even though it was an open box. The moment it came, my hobby shop actually got it in, and they had successfully ordered it. They just didn't tell me that they had successfully ordered it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to take both of them because it's going to be hard to find these kits, and it never hurts having a backup. So I have two of the Enterprise C. Alex, I have all my own lighting, debating on Tenet controls versus my own programming. Yeah, I'm using Tenet controls for the Enterprise E. I'm the Nova. The Nova here is so small that I'm not going to worry about flashing, blinking stuff. Just because it is so tiny, there's not a whole lot of room. So it's going to have basic lighting. It's going to have window lighting. It will have nav lighting that's not flashing. And it's going to have the warp engines. In case you haven't seen, I've recast the pylons with the wires installed to allow me to light the nacelles, because these pylons, they're solid cast, and so the originals, I've got my original box here. I ended up recasting the whole kit because there was just some issues with the kit. So here's the original part, and it's so thin, and there's I would really give props to anybody that manages to fish wire through these solid pylons, because they're so thin, they're so dainty. I ended up just taking a mold and recasting with the wires in. I think they turned out well. Jake, cool. Tenet Controls has very good Enterprise E lighting kit. It comes with a remote. Mine didn't come with a remote, actually. Maybe I didn't choose that option, or that's newer since I got my kit, because I've been working on it for a while. Alex, does the Tenet Controls board have the different flash rates for the Enterprise E seen in the movie? Seems like one of the best ways. Tenet Controls seems like one of the best ways to go. And Jake, yeah, the flashing lights can be switched. I've got the one that comes with the lava light effect for the warp engines. It's got the 3 LEDs that fade in and out, which then I promptly went and tested and thought that that they were resistored in the cluster, and they weren't, and I ran them at 9 volts and blew them, and so I actually had to yeah, right, they're sealed in the Enterprise, so they're sealed in the nacelles on there already, so I ended up rebuilding my own cluster LEDs, and then which was good because I wouldn't have been able to use the ribbon cable that they came on anyway, because there was no way I was fitting the ribbon cable and with enough cables in through the pylons. So I just ran the wrapping wire through there. Yes, Alex, he is. I won't buy from anyone else. Yeah. Sorry, the lighting kit you have now is an old kit and he doesn't sell it anymore, but it got updated. Okay, that's really cool. Well, the one I have is going to work great for my kit, but if I do this again, then I will definitely get the upgraded board. I am definitely a promoter of control boards in bases. I just never want to take the risk of having to break into a completed model to repair it if anything goes wrong. Which again, I think it's really interesting to see how different people do things differently. You know, some put them in the base, some put them in the ship, and never seem to have an issue. Ouch. Jake, what's the ouch for? I know I didn't cut myself with the scissors. I had an idea today, and I don't know if it would float, because there's a few things like online community with model building that, you know, I've thought would be great things to do, but I haven't seen them done anywhere. One is the Facebook group for model building content creators to talk about, you know, everything involved with creating content for model building on YouTube or whatever. Like, you know, somebody doesn't know how to do a live stream. How do you do a live stream? What equipment do you use for streaming, or what do you use for your video production? What software do you use? All that kind of stuff. Because our model building Facebook groups are not really the place to do that. But something else I was thinking about tonight would be, and I don't know if there would be an interest in it or not, but to have like community Zoom calls where everybody kind of just comes into the Zoom Should be all fixed now. Let me know if you can hear me now. Sorry, battery pack ran out of juice. Almost as bad as running out of coffee. But I've got a whole thermal jug full of coffee, so I'm good to go for the long run. Let's see. Steve Copsey in the chat. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Just kind of hanging out. Now I just have to deal with some cable here. Yay! And we've got, let's see. Yeah, can you see me? Oh, I was like, wow, it's taking there's a long delay on the stream, but somehow my laptop got paused on me, so. And Barry Stanlig. Did I get that anywhere near close right? Hopefully. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, how is everybody's weekend? Okay, I was, before I got distracted by a microphone dying, I was about to work on getting a mask made for the interior chiller grills. And I think if I'm able to make a mask of the outside, then I can use that on the inside of the other side, if that makes sense. Let me grab a pencil. Hear you loud and clear. Perfect. Yay. Ugh. And I don't have a sharp pencil. And I don't have a pencil sharpener. Fortunately, I have number 11 blades. And I can sharpen with a number 11 blade. What would we do without number 11 blades? I use them for so many things outside of modeling. There we go. Perfect pencil sharpener. All right. Close enough. Steinloggy. Okay. Got it. Everybody has a hard time pronouncing my last name, so I'm always super cautious about how I pronounce people's last names. All right. Just trying to get a rough idea of the shape of the mask here. I'm masking the chiller grills and the Bizarre collectors on the inside because I don't want any paint getting in there. And then my number 10 again. And just remember to cut on the outside of my markings. I need a straight edge. Another use for a blade. One of these works as great as a straight edge when you're cutting with the number 11. Oh yeah, there we go. That's how I want to do it. Jake. Well, I have to run for now. Nice chatting with everyone. Have a good rest of the weekend. Have a good night, Jake. Yeah, hope you continue to recover well. Hopefully we'll see your next video shortly. Okay. So with any luck, this is going to fit right on the inside of this, the opposite side from what I did first. Oh, I forgot a section, and it's not quite right, so I'm going to have to do it again. That is a-okay. So I'll just trace what I did before and make the correction I know I need to make. No whistling into the microphone. Everybody's ears will appreciate it. I do have some issues with my cutting mat that I've got at this particular table. I've been using it to pour my resin casts. So I've got little puddles of clear resin on it that I need to take some time and scrape off with one of these things. I just need to get around to doing it, but it left a bit of a bump, little piece of resin on the inside of there, and I was feeling it. Yeah, okay, bye, Jake. See you later. Okay. Try this again. Honestly, though, I don't care. I don't really care how badly damaged this particular mat gets. It was a $5 steal at a yard sale. A lady was getting rid of it because she wasn't doing her crafts anymore, and when I got it, it was in pristine shape, and I got a few other small cutting mats as well, and can't really pass that up. I wasn't looking for them at yard sales. I was kind of just wandering around yard sales last year trying to see if anybody was silly enough to get rid of any model kits of any kind, but I never found any. But that was a good steal of a deal that I got on the cutting mat. So oh yeah, that's a much better fit this time. So we'll just get that in there. And do the same thing on the other side. And if I turn this over, use some of the scraps just to tape it down so it doesn't move. And I'm going to have to get some fresh tape to do that, I think. Actually, I should probably just get some fresh tape. I should be able to put it on upside down and get a good... Hello, William. Says, the world needs more amazing yard sale finds like that. Yeah. You know, finding a $5 Star Trek model kit, that would be pretty sweet. Really, I'd be happy to find any kind of model kits of any sort. But finding an old AMT Star Trek kit of some sort at a yard sale, that would be a nice find. Obviously, I have some preferences on what kits I would love to be able to find. There's a question. If what kits are you guys kind of like on the lookout for? You know, what are you scanning eBay for? What are you what is a kit that you would snap up if it came available at a decent price? One of the issues I run into, at least here. Oh, I am actually putting the wrong piece. I'm putting a scrap piece on and trying to draw the scrap piece instead of the actual piece. Yeah. So what type of model kits are you kind of on the lookout for if they came up at a good price? I think what I was saying is run into a little bit of an issue in Canada where most of the model kits on eBay are coming out of the States, and they might be good deals for those of you in the States, but by the time you take the Canadian exchange into account and the shipping and sometimes the customs, it becomes very expensive. So there were some really good deals I saw. Actually, I messaged Jake because I saw a really good price on an Enterprise E. But and if I was in the States, I would have just like ordered it right there and then. It was like $23 or something like that for an Enterprise E. And but by the time you take into account our Canadian exchange rate and the shipping to Canada and customs, it was going to be more expensive than driving to the Toronto area. Obviously not right now with the restrictions and stuff, but driving to the hobby store that I frequent in the Toronto area when we go to my wife's parents' place. So, okay, let's see. Hopefully this worked out, just doing the reverse of the other mask. So, the angle isn't quite right. I think I need to trim a little bit off, like the tiniest little bit. William, I primarily build Gundam model kits, but in regards to Star Trek models, I would like to get another Reliant. Yeah, you should still be able to get the latest release of like a model store should be able to still order that, I would think, because I didn't get mine too long ago. Well, I guess it was probably 2 years ago now. But I have the newest release sitting on my shelf, but someone should have that. Which scale Reliant do you want? Do you want the 1000 scale, or do you want the 1537, I think it is, or whatever that scale is? Barry, the one ship that I don't have is the E. Yeah, I know where to get it if you happen to be in the Toronto area, but apart from that, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how available that thing is anymore. But yeah, I could tell you exactly where you could walk in and buy it if you're in the Toronto area, because I happen to know a store north of Toronto that has it in stock. But just trying to trim off the tiniest little piece. Fiddly detail work. I was saying earlier, I'm a perfectionist. a bit of a perfectionist. And I always say that building models is a way for me to have an outlet, Florida, to have an outlet for my perfectionist tendencies in a way that doesn't annoy other people. Because if you've got perfectionist tendencies, you can really annoy other people sometimes. So this is a good, dropping the number 11. That's why I wear shoes out here all the time. I'm not doing this right now because he's not here. He's visiting his grandparents, but we have a 12-year-old, 12? Yeah, 12-year-old boy right next door here. His mom and his aunt, and I'm helping him build. It's actually the F-101 Voodoo that's pictured on the wall behind me, and so we've been working on that, and I keep having, every time he comes over to work on it, I have to remind him that he has to wear his shoes in here so that he doesn't get something sharp falling on his feet. I might have to modify this one mask. 650 scale. So I think that's actually, I wonder if it said that on the box. Because it's a weird, let's see if I have it here. Easily accessible on the shelf. So, USS Reliant. It's the 1537. Yeah, is what it is. I think on the older kits they had the scale listed wrong. I mean, it's not like AMT to list something wrong on the box, right? Because I think the Shenzhou that they recently released had the measurements from the Discovery on the box, and it had the decals from Discovery on the box. So AMT now round 2 has had a bit of a history of putting the wrong thing on the boxes. So I built that when I was a kid, and it's one of the kits that suffered from me not knowing what I was doing as a kid. I've got a lot of those kits that suffered from, yeah. Part of it's actually sitting right on top and completely yellowed. I didn't know anything about, painting the whole kit instead of leaving the white plastic, or clear coating decals or anything like that. I was a kid. I was probably sitting, there's like weird green paint and stuff all over it, and I was probably sitting in my parents' basement on the floor, gluing it together, painting it together while watching Wrath of Khan on the TV. And yeah, I've still got this. This could be usable for spare parts, but that's probably about it. Although I could potentially use part of the bottom to scratch build a Stargazer or something like that. So, but yeah. That looks good. I was looking at the old one from '95. I once got that as a birthday present as a kid, and now I wish I had saved it. Yeah, so that's the old one from the box. That's the old kit. And it's exactly the same kit. They just made some modifications to correct some errors. So it's the exact same size as it was. They just made some adjustments. They thickened up the saucer, I think, and a few other minor adjustments just to make it a little bit more screen accurate. All right, I've got, I don't even think you're going to be able to see that, but I'm actually tempted to leave the blue painter's tape on the inside just to help with some light diffusion. Let's see. I'm not going to bring my power supply over, but if I move my chair out of the way, maybe you'll be able to see with me if I put, I've already got a strip of LED tape attached to my bench power supply. So I'm just kind of curious. No, probably not. Oh, I'll have to play around with that. I'll have to play around with that a little bit. Wow! Oh, wow! 10 people watching. Hey, if you're just joining, or if you've joined since I last mentioned this, say hello in the chat. Get involved talking in the chat. It's kind of just a hangout while I work on my Nova Class kit. Go ahead and ask questions or make comments or tell me I'm doing it wrong. It's kind of why I'm doing this tonight, just to kind of have some fun hanging out with people while I work on my kit. I'm working on prepping the Nova Class warp nacelles for light blocking paint. So I've masked off the adhesion points just so that I can keep the paint off when I do the light blocking coats, and leave open resin to open resin to get a better bond, obviously. And I've just been creating some masks on the inside of the upper section of the warp nacelles so that I can get the light blocking coat in there. My plan for the exterior ports is just to mask the Bussards from the chillers, just spray over the blue or the red, and then I'll mask those off to do the actual adhesion promoter. Well, I'll adhesion promote first, but I will, I'll adhesion promote before I mask off the blue, like before I put the blue and red transparent paint on. But then I'll mask them off, and then I'll do the primer. I'll do my refinement stages on these, filling with the putty, everything that I've had to do on these other sections, and then I can pull the masks off, and those chiller grills and Bussards should come out pretty clean and tidy. So, yeah. So yeah, if you're here, say hi in the chat so I know you're here. Okay, so this one has chiller grills, and what did I do with? Okay, that's not it. Is this it? That's the discarded piece. I have lost my template, the piece I was using as a template. I hope I didn't throw it out, because now I'm going to have to create for myself a new template. All right. Tape. Hello, tape. Computer. Hello, computer. Okay, it's not on the floor. It's not on my shoes. It's on the floor all the way over there. I don't know how that happened. Oh, well. All right. Actually, you know what? I should deal with this a little bit better. Let's grab a piece of cardstock. Let's stick it onto the cardstock and create a proper template here. That's going to be better. Much better. Now if I lose this little piece of blue tape, I'm not going to be worried. That's why I was so concerned about the fact that I vacuumed in here today and yesterday, because I don't want to accidentally suck up into the vacuum a vital part or component. So, all right. I'm actually, funny, I'm using leftover cardstock that we had used for something to do with our wedding years ago. I can't remember what we needed yellow cardstock for, but we needed it. We ended up with a whole pile of it, and I'm now using it as mask template things or whatever I need out here. Actually, this piece was used as a place to put these while... Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. Sorry, just distracted. One of my nacelle molds. So, short story. This kit is the Alliance Nova Class 1677 scale clear resin kit. It's the same scale as the Voyager. Which I've got two of them. I've got the old monogram and then the new, not the newest, but a newer Revell version of the kit up on the shelf. And so this is in scale with that Voyager kit. And the Nova Class is one of my favorite ships, but the kit is suffering a little bit from casting quality issues now. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this because it's a clear kit and the camera on autofocus really doesn't like the clear kit. But if I show you this, you'll see how it's rocking back and forth really badly. Again, I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, but the kit is badly warped. And trying to pair that with the top part, I mean, if I close this part, you see just how badly they don't meet over on this side. And I tried heating and gently plying this back into shape, and it actually snapped. It's a rather thick casting of resin, and so it's really difficult to ply back into shape once it's hard cured, and it snapped. I'm like, okay, so I've spent $90 on this kit, well, more than that with the US exchange, and it's horribly warped and it snapped. What am I going to do? So I thought, okay, I glued the piece that snapped back on, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but there's a seam line right here. So I was able to get it to glue back together near perfect. It was a clean cut, a clean break, which I'm thankful for. And so then I took a mold, a 2-part mold, and recast the part. And then I was able to take the part out of the mold. Oh, here it is. Out of the mold, while it was still flexible, while it was still pliable, and it's much more flat. It's still not perfect, but it mates with this part so much better. I mean, you can just see the difference here. There's still a little bit, but that's not bad. So I ended up basically recasting the whole kit. I thought, well, since I did the majority of that, I might as well do the top part. And then that way, if anything goes wrong in the building of the kit, I can always just create another part. And I was recasting the pylons anyway, so I could get the wires in. So I've just figured, yeah, I'm already molding and recasting half the kit. I might as well just make a copy and build the copy anyway. So I still have the original. I've actually contacted the company just to let them know that there's such an issue with those, and the nacelles are suffering from some probably the molds getting old, and they're really rough. They're not unfixable, but they are really rough. So I started off with rough parts, but yeah, working on those. So yeah, it's this project has been a lot of work so far, but I think we're all in it for the amount of work that's involved. The chat's kind of slowed down. I feel like I'm kind of just talking to myself at the moment, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just doing some work, streaming it on the web. There we go. Question for you. What are some of your dream kits to get? I've got 2 dream kits, and one of them I actually got. And maybe I can show you here after I get this, this drawn on here. One of my dream kits was the 1000 scale, the Clearcast 1000 scale Akira, which I managed to pick up. It's not a cheap kit, not as expensive as the other one I want, which I probably won't end up getting. And the other one isn't really overly available anymore. So I'd have to buy it off of somebody who already has it. And that one is the 42-inch Enterprise E. Clear or solid, whichever one I could get my hands on. But yeah, those are my 2 dream kits. And yeah, let me just pull it out here. And I managed to get the one dream kit. I think this was about 250 roughly, and I shouldn't be keeping the decals right there. But this is a nice size ship, and the casting looks pretty good. I mean, it's a resin casting. There's issues with resin castings that you can't get around, but it looks really nice. So that's one I'm definitely going to be doing in the future. But when I do that, I will be taking my sweet time with that one, because that's one I will not want to mess up at all. Fresh batteries are holding out. Yay. Yeah. So what are some of your dream kits that you would love to get your hands on? I wanted to make sure that I got all the kits that I built as a kid, so I could redo them now that I at least sort of have an idea somewhat of what I'm doing. Because when I built the kits as a kid, they were kid builds. They were slapped together quickly and hastily painted, and I was really proud of them when I was a kid. They don't hold mustard now, but that's kind of the way it goes. Steve Copsey, I have been out of the hobby for over 20 years. I got back into it and I'm learning so much from these live shows. Not sure if I know of my dream kit yet. Also, my 9-year-old son is now starting. Oh, that is awesome. If you can build models with kids and teach them the hobby and give them kind of like the freedom to do it and mess up and realize that nothing is unfixable, or very little is unfixable. You just have to figure out how to fix it. Then I think that is awesome to do that. I don't know if my daughter will ever want to build model kits, but if she does, then I will definitely help her build model kits. But one of the starships that I'm going to build, I'm not sure if it's going to be this one or if it's going to be my Nebula class that I'm going to build next after the Enterprise E is done. But one of them will bear her name as the ship name. So I'm sure that might at least make her interested when she's older. William, PG 160th Gundam Red Frame Astray Kai. So I've got to admit, I know nothing about Gundam kits. That's not a world I have explored at all. But yeah, everybody needs to have that dream kit, and if you can get your hands on it and do it well, then I think the feeling of accomplishment on doing that dream kit and doing it well and being happy with it is something that's really cool. Like my ultimate dream kit is that Enterprise E, that 42-inch Enterprise E, and I know that it would be probably one of the toughest builds I could think of for a resin build. And if I could do it well, do it successfully, one, the number of skills that I would learn and refine doing that would be huge. And the sense of accomplishment of tackling such a project, such a dream project, and such a massive project, and accomplishing it and doing it well is I just think that would be such a really great feeling of accomplishment. All right, I think I'm gonna have to trim this one. It's just a wee bit big. I just need to trim the slightest little bit. This is one I wish I had. I just had a vinyl mask kit for this ship, but I don't think. I know Lou Dalmaso built the one on the cover art for the guys that made the kit back in 2016, I think it was. But I don't think he made a masking kit for it, or at least I haven't seen it available anywhere. And usually if there's anything available for like any approved things like decals or anything for those Federation model kits, they usually list them right on the site and sell them right on the site, and I haven't seen a thing. The 72-inch TOS Enterprise Boyd's working on would be sick. No idea where I would put it. Yeah, 72-inch. Is that the Steve Neal kit, the one that he made? Or is that something completely different. Because I know, is it Steve? Steve, do I even have his name right? I might just have Saturday brain. And Alex, just who makes the kit, or where do you get that kit from? I'm thinking of the guy. He used to have his model garage show on, and he worked on the motion picture, and he made Spock's ears for the motion picture. I think his first name is Steve. I'm just blanking right now. It's Sunday. I don't have exactly the best brain power by this time on a Sunday, so. And I was just concentrating a little bit there. Just cutting like the thinnest little piece off of that mask. You can't recall? Okay. Not important, but yeah, that's one big ship, and that's one of the things my wife says about the huge Enterprise E, because there's an opportunity potentially to get one, but she's like, one, it's a lot of money, and two, where would you put it? Which I understand, because it's a huge kit. There's it's hard. You really have to have a place to display something like that, and I don't really have a place to display something like that. I don't even know where I'll display the smaller kits I'm making, unless I just sell the kits I'm making, because I'm not really making them necessarily to have the finished product. I'm building them for the enjoyment of building. Do I 3D print? I don't 3D print. That said, I would like to 3D print. I would like to learn how to, I would like to learn 3D modeling and all of that. It's just not something I have done yet, but it's something that I want to look at more seriously. My only issue with 3D printed kits and that is the print resolution. A lot of the stuff that I'm seeing being done has a pile of print striations. So I'm not entirely sure the print resolution is quite there yet, and at least not because these resin kits, they're smooth, right? You don't get all those striation marks on them. And a lot of what I'm seeing online, like on the different model building Facebook groups and stuff, of the work that people have posted being done, either they haven't sanded down the striations, and even through the various layers of paint and primer and stuff, they still show through. So I'm kind of still on the fence a little bit with it. I kind of want to see a really nice, smooth, striation-free print, so like a really nice high-resolution print. And if I could see that, then I would probably seriously consider saving my pennies and working towards getting something like that. But again, there's so much like around the house that we want to do, and different things I want to get here. Layer lines are an issue with prints, even on resin printers, but at least they are easier to sand than the FDM printer. Yeah, yeah, that's what it's called, layer lines, because it looks like the like a topographical map that shows you the different elevations. That's kind of like what it seems like to me. So that's kind of what's holding me back. There we go. I've got chiller grill masks on the inside of the upper sections of the warp nacelles. So I mean, not fancy work, but it's just time-consuming work, right? So next, I need to, and I think these are all symmetrical. So I need to get an image of just one of the Bussard collectors, and then I should be able to make a quick template on that. Probably be a piece of equipment I would want to get before I got a 3D printer would probably be a vinyl plotter, so that I could make up all of my own paint masks as I want them, however I want them, on demand. So I think if I was getting something like a piece of technology or equipment in here, I'd probably look at wanting to get one of those first. William, I do know that websites like My Mine Factory and Thingsgiver have a huge selection of Star Trek ships for printing for free. Yeah, I've seen that. I haven't checked it out yet. Again, I don't know how it all works. My father is actually looking at getting a 3D printer. I'm not sure which one it is that he's looking at getting. He wants to get it for manufacturing parts for a few different machines he's building in his shop. But let's see, does this fit? Actually, I want to know if it fits on the inside. Oh! I've dropped the mask. And where did it go? He wants it in order to make parts for some various machines that he wants to build. How does that just phase out of existence? Like, I watched it fall. Are you talking about something like a circuit? I've heard that the circuits and equivalent quality of machines, those consumer machines, aren't very good at doing the vinyl masks. So I'd probably be looking at something a little bit more industrial or pro. But I mean, again, money is an issue, right? Okay, so that little mask, I literally watched it fall, and it's just completely disappeared. The only thing I can think of is that it's stuck to the bottom of the chair, and it is not stuck to the bottom of the chair. So it's fallen through the wormhole. It no longer exists in this dimension of space and time. Yes, it does. Stuck to the bottom of my shoe. At least now I don't have to worry about making it again. So yeah, I've seen the circuits in Michael's here, and looked at them and looked at online and reviews and stuff. But what I've heard is that they just don't quite cut it, if you don't mind the pun. So yeah, I might look at something a little more high end, but that's not something that I can justify spending money on right now. there's some other priorities. There we go. 7 people watching right now. If you haven't yet, say hi in the chat so that I know who is who's hanging out with me tonight. All right. There we go. 1 Buszard Collector mask. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. This is actually probably going to be a little easier for me. Oh yeah, that's so much easier. So 2 this direction, 2 this direction. Why didn't I think about this for the chiller grill? Stencil, so much easier. So I haven't done any research on what kind of vinyl plotter I would get, mostly because I'm not ready to buy one. So it would just make me sad to research it and know that I wasn't actually buying it. Free hand cutting masks. I ended up free cutting a whole pile of masks for Windows on the Nova here. I'm doing the approach of, so it's a clear kit, and so my approach is a little different than a lot of people's approach on the clear kits. A lot of people will put all of their light blocking coats on the outside. So they'll do a layer of white, then they'll do layers of black for light blocking, and then they'll put their primer on, then they'll do their, or they'll just use that as primer and they'll put their colors over top. And I am putting all of my light blocking coats on the inside. So if you can see on this, you've got the white light reflection coat on the inside, but then you've got all the windows in there. They were masked off. And so the light is only going to shine out where the windows have been unmasked on the inside. And then the windows are masked right now on the outside. They'll come off, and so it'll come through there. And I'm keeping all of the extra layers of paint for the light blocking on the inside. So I'm not caking on extra layers that I don't need on the outside. So that's my approach, and it's the same approach I'm going to take on the Clear Enterprise D later on down the road when I get to that and the Nova, sorry, not the Nova, but the Nebula class conversion kit that I'm going to do at the same time. I know it's a little bit different than what most people do. On the Enterprise D, I'll still do the scratch the windows on the outside, but none of my light blocking coats will be on the outside. They'll all be on the inside. I didn't want to scratch the windows on this kit. So I've got a cast of the bottom that didn't turn out. It turned out well enough to do some testing with, but not well enough to actually use as the kit. So I did the scratch test on this one, and I wasn't happy with the way the windows were turning out. So I decided, that's what made me decide to go with masking the windows on the outside of that. All right. There we go. Freehand cutting these on the lines. It might be the slow way. It might not be the efficient way. But it's the way that works. And that's what's important. Okay, so this one goes on this side. One of the nice things about the way that these parts turned out, which was a nice little accidental happenstance, is that it's not quite aligned properly. the clear resin turned out on both of these parts a little hazy, which I think is actually going to be a good thing because none of these areas that I want light to shine through are windows, so I don't need them to be overly clear, but I would have to add light diffusion anyway. So I think that the slight haziness of the clear cast is actually going to be helpful to me. So just a nice little happenstance that I wouldn't necessarily be happy with on other parts, but in this situation, it makes my job probably a little easier. After the stream and before I shut down the studio for the night, I will put a coat of black on the inside of all of these nacelles. So anybody else have any dream kits that you would just love to get your hands on? And maybe it's not even like a super rare kit, but it's just something that you don't have that you're kind of keeping your eye out for that you would really just love to have. I came like this close to clicking buy now on a K7 that was on eBay for a really good price. Really good price as far as like buying a kit off eBay if you're Canadian. But then I got looking at it a little bit more. I pulled it up on image, Google image search and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's such a simple design. Like, so there's not a lot of, I mean, it's a nice design, but it's such a simple design. There's not a whole lot of greebly stuff going on. It's simplistic. It's minimalist. I could probably manage just to scratch build that and scratch build it at a better size than what that kit is. Because I say it was a good price, but by the time you get exchange rates and shipping to Canada and the customs cost was not declared on it, so that's always a surprise if it's not kind of included. Then you're always up for a bit of a surprise on the custom cost. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's worth it, and I think I could probably scratch build it, and probably scratch build it for less money, and maybe even scratch build it in a way that I could take molds off of it and make a resin kit out of it. So who knows? All right. So pretty sure that is, yeah. So that's Bussard collectors and chiller grills masked on the inside. And now I'm going to mask off the adhesion point so that I can, I don't get paint on the adhesion point so that I'm joining resin to resin. This particular mask tape, blue mask tape, does not like to stick very well on these tiny, tiny adhesion points. But I can always tack them back down right before I spray and it'll keep the paint off. What time is it? It is 11:09 Eastern Time. Been streaming for 96 minutes, so I'll probably aim to get these masked off and then probably call it a night, I would think. So who else is here? Anybody here who I haven't seen yet? Who I haven't had a chance to say hi to? Model building is one of those things that you just have to have so much patience for. Time and time again, I've seen people, or I've seen videos of builders, and they're like, this is good enough. I don't want to spend any more time on it. I want to be done this model. I'm half thinking to myself, isn't taking your time one of the enjoyable things about working on a project? If you want to rush through it and just be done with it, then do you really want to model? I don't know. That's kind of just how I feel when I hear people like saying that they just want to be done with it and move on to the next model. I don't think I could. Yeah, I definitely could not build models that way. To be in a rush and then end up messing up because you're in a rush. That's something I just would not want to do. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but that's kind of like where I'm at. So I always, when I hear builders say I just want to be done, I just want to move on to the next thing or whatever, and then they don't take their time with it, and then they make like a mistake or something. I always cringe when I hear that. It always bothers me a little bit. So these nacelles are going to need probably 2 coats of black for light block, and then at least 1 coat of white to reflect the light inside, but I'll know better once I get that first coat of paint on there. I am tempted not to paint tonight. It's been, actually, what is our temperature going to be tomorrow? I just saw that I had a Facebook message, but it was from Jake earlier telling me that we had lost audio. Battery's holding out pretty good so far. So, tomorrow's not as good. It's going to rain in the afternoon, and painting during rain is not fun. So, I don't know. I might just wait till the day. It's going to be 18, 19 degrees tomorrow morning. So, where's that now? Oh, never mind. It's going to rain in the morning. It's going to be 18, 19 degrees, 20 degrees late afternoon tomorrow. So maybe if the humidity's gone down after the rain, I can get some of this painting done outside, which is so much nicer to do that outside than it is, or to do it with the big garage doors open than it is to do it, have to make sure everything's ready to go, put the layer of paint down, and then evacuate the room. Especially because I do spend a fair bit of time working on my computer over there, especially right now with doing a whole pile of extra video production stuff for work and that kind of thing. Since we can't meet together in person, everything's been taken online, so we're doing a lot of extra online content creation, which is all my job now. They're just lucky they've got somebody on staff who's familiar with live streams and YouTube and video production and all that kind of stuff. Which reminds me, if you're watching and you are a fellow content creator in the model building world, we have a new Facebook group just for content creators of model building. It's called, the name is really hard to remember. It's Model Building Content Creators. And it's just a spot for model building content creators to get together and chat about things in regards to creating content on platforms like YouTube or other video platforms, like talking about, what editing software you're using, or how you go about live streaming, or editing tips and tricks, or all that kind of spot. That's kind of what that place is intended for. So if you do that, if you make model building video content online, then feel free to go over to model building content creators and hit us up there. Brand new. I think we've currently only got five members altogether. It's like brand spanking new, and it's just nice to be able to connect with like-minded people doing the same thing, and share tips and tricks and information, and bounce things off people, like how does my brand new thumbnail look, or I'm having problems with YouTube. Anybody know the solution? My videos won't upload, or those kind of things. And I think it's kind of cool to be able to work together. We're not, we're doing the same thing, and we all hope to get good views and stuff like that, but we're not competitors. We're colleagues, really. So it's kind of nice to have that community. So this one is almost ready. Almost masked. Still got 6 people with us. That's pretty cool. I mentioned this earlier, but some of you may not have been here. I've been thinking, how do we connect as a community of model builders and stuff like that? And I was thinking, Zoom is such a thing now. Actually, earlier I was thinking that, I wish I'd taken like shares or something out in Zoom before COVID-19 hit. If you had done that, you'd be doing pretty well, I think. But Zoom is a really cool tool to be able to connect with people. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if a bunch of model builders just got on Zoom together and just got together, chatted while they were working on their builds, and got to share what they were working on, that kind of thing. I don't know if anybody would be interested in that kind of thing, but I know I definitely would be. And I figure if I'm interested in something, then somebody else is probably interested in it too. Not guaranteed, but definitely a possibility. All right, with this last piece going on, I'm not intending to mask the whole top. It's just kind of happening because of the fold over on the tape. There we go. The inside is prepped for light block on that one. Whew. One left. What are some cool kits you guys have in your stash? I currently have 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, 24 kits in my stash. I know compared to a lot of people, that's a pretty small stash of model kits, but Barry got to get up early tomorrow, so I'll say goodnight. All right, Barry, have a good night. Thanks for joining, and hopefully I'll do this again. It's kind of fun. Gives me something to do while I'm working on my model, rather than just watching YouTube videos, so it's kind of been fun. I'm not going to be on too much longer. I'm just going to get this nacelle masked off, and then I'm going to head off because it'll be, by that time, it'll be almost 11:30. And I'm sure our little one will be up in the morning. Anytime we want her to sleep in, because we're tired and we want to sleep in, she gets up early. Anytime we need her to get up early because we got to get her out to daycare, or she's coming to the office one day a week with me right now because of reduced reduced daycare hours, that kind of thing. Those are the days that she sleeps in and refuses to get out of bed. So she's like her mama in a lot of ways, but she likes to sleep in like me. I was that kid that you never hear about. Christmas Day. You always hear about kids getting up early, waking their parents up at like stupid o'clock in the morning, and rushing to open presents. Not me. Every single Christmas morning I slept in. My parents didn't know how easy they had it with me when it came to that. Like, my parents would start working on prepping Christmas dinner if it was our year to host Christmas dinner. And I'd still be sleeping, and I'd just leisurely get up and then just kind of like bum around until it was time to open presents. Like, I wouldn't even rush to open presents. I always liked to delay it as long as possible because I wanted the fun of opening presents to last as long as possible. And so my meticulousness and perfectionism showed up even then. I would like literally take one piece of tape off the wrapping at a time and make unwrapping the presents last as long as I possibly could, until my mother got wise and started glue gunning my Christmas gifts. So I couldn't do that. Like, I'll show that kid. If you're wondering either what I'm doing or why I'm doing the masking this way, I'm cutting the masking tape into little segments because there's some weird shapes and angles, and it's also such a narrow piece that I'm masking off. And I find that the small segments let me ride the curves better on the piece and helps me to keep the narrow area, keep the masking under control on that much better. So in case you're wondering either what I'm doing or why I'm doing it this way, that's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it this way. I drink a lot of coffee, and I made a whole pot of coffee before this, and I have barely touched it. I'm also one of those people that most coffee drinkers hate, because I can drink a pot of coffee in the evening, have no problem going to sleep. Caffeine doesn't seem to have that effect on me. Now, granted, it will get me up because my body's processed all the water and I need to get rid of it, but it won't keep me up. So I do drink a fair bit of it. Need a little bit more to finish off this piece. If you're wondering what kits I have in my stash, I have, because my shelf they're just all on my shelf there. I have the NX01, the TOS Enterprise, and the Refit, all in 350 scale, one of each. I've got two Voyagers. One is the older Monogram, and the other is the slightly refined Revell. I've got two Vorchas. One is the original release, and the other is the more recent repop. I've got two Adversary sets with the Romulan Warbird, and then the small Klingon and Ferengi ship. I've got one DS9. I've got one Runabout. I've got one Cardassian, one Kazon, which I really wasn't looking for, but it was really cheap on Amazon and I couldn't pass it up. One Excelsior, one of the larger size Defiants, not the smaller one that they've just recently come out with, but the original larger size Defiant. The 1537 Reliant that I showed earlier. I've got two Galaxy class. Those are both reserved, one for a Galaxy class ship and one for the Dawn's Light and Magic Nebula conversion that I have. The small size Katang, or Katinga, I guess is how most people pronounce it. One Bird of Prey, two Enterprise Cs, the teeny tiny Discovery, and then I've got my Akira, my 1000 scale Clearcast Akira, the Nebula conversion kit, and a bunch of other accessories to go along with kits. Like I picked up a bunch of the colored clear parts for a bunch of them, the replacement engine parts for a bunch of kits like Defiant and the Runabout, and a bunch of that kind of stuff, along with an interior for the Runabout that I picked up. So those are the kits I have in my stash. Oh, and I also have like the old school, I think it's one of the 80s versions, 80s releases of it, of the kit, but that old TOS Enterprise kit, it was actually given to me because some people had it and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't want it, and they knew that I was into building models, and so they gave it to me, and I opened it up just to see what the old kit was like. I'm pretty sure it's one of the ones where it's got the droopy nacelle issues, so I'll probably build it at some point, but I'll be sure to reinforce the nacelle pylons so they don't go all loopy droopy on me. I don't think it's an overly accurate kit because it's like one of the first Star Trek kits ever tooled, but should be interesting to do at some point. I'm in no rush to do that one. Getting there. I only get a couple hours every night, or most nights, some nights, to work on this stuff. So when just prepping the nacelles for primer, for light blocking, takes 2 hours of a live stream, you know that a kit is going to take a long time when you only get a couple hours a day to work on it, if you get those couple hours in the day to work on it. Such is life, especially when you've got a family and a little one who loves and craves your attention. So, and that's important. All right. I'm just going to throw another piece of tape. There's this. Yeah, I'll just use the piece I had for the mask. That's okay. There was some sticky tape on the other side. So, tonight's work, tonight's progress. Not that there's not what seems like a lot of progress, but it's actually really good progress. It's just fiddly work and it takes time. So, to recap, the nacelle bottoms have been masked for light blocking coats. Sure, it's a lot easier masking for the outside coats because then it's just sticking out on a piece of tape. So those are ready for light blocking. So they're ready for their black coats. And I handcrafted the masks for the chiller grills and the Bizarre collectors for the top, and I've masked the adhesion surface of these to prep for their black coat, or black coats. So yeah, that, I think, is going to be it for the night. So thank you, everyone, for joining. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button? You'll make me very happy if you do. This has been, my name is Andrew. This is Canadian Starships, and I will probably see you next week in another live. My update videos generally take about 2 weeks to produce when I'm really working on it. So yeah, I'll probably try to do another one of these next week, and then I'll have an actual update the following week. So have a good night, guys, and enjoy all of your modeling.